Hello everyone, my name is Nick and it's the end of the month, so it's time for another houseplant haul. So I'm going to show you guys all of the plants that I acquired over this month, the month of October 2019. And besides that whole peppers debacle from earlier this month, I definitely took it easy in terms of buying houseplants, but I did a lot of trading, which is rather exciting because I would say I have a lot of rather interesting and rare plants to share with you guys this month. So I'm going to start off with all of the Hoyas that I acquired, and all three of these Hoyas that I have are ones that I had traded for. So this one right here is a Hoya serpens, which is absolutely precious. It has the most dainty little leaves. It is such a precious little plant. I don't even have a better word for it than that. It is so cute. I love these little leaves. They're rather ridgy, or at least more ridgy than I was expecting when I have seen this plant in pictures. I was expecting the leaves to be smooth, but they actually have quite a bit of texture to them. And they're also rather rough, which I just think is really interesting. It's not what I was expecting in the slightest, even though I have even seen this plant in person before, but until it was in my collection is when I started to notice these little nuances. So I only have two little pieces growing in moss that I've been rooting. This was actually a gift from my friend Marianne, and I've been really enjoying watching this acclimate to my home. It definitely hasn't grown in the slightest yet, but I am just enjoying its presence in the meantime. Another Hoya that I had traded for this month is this rather lovely Hoya linearis that I am still rooting in water. It just has a little bit of roots going on right now, but this is such an interesting Hoya. It gives me definitely more of those like Hoya retusa vibes, where this doesn't even necessarily read off as a Hoya to me when you first see it, but the more you look at it, it definitely looks like a Hoya. But at first glance, it definitely looks more like a Spanish moss, like the Tillandsia usinoides, which is a very common air plant that is sold in houseplant stores, which is just that like frilly hanging moss. This is just almost identical to what this Hoya linearis looks like. I'm definitely keeping a close eye on this one, changing the water out a little bit more often because this is definitely a hard to come by plant and I want this plant to grow swimmingly for me. And I do have one last Hoya that I traded for from the same person who gave me the linearis, my friend Mike. He gave me these Hoya carnosa compacta, or the Hindu rope Hoya plant. So I really love this Hoya. I always see it, but they're just so pricey. It's always so expensive for like a nice full plant, and he was kind enough to trade me two very generous cuttings of his plant. So I have these going on. They're rooting in soil. I find Hoya carnosa is rather easy to root straight up in soil, so I can definitely give this guy the tug test and already tell that it is rooting quite nicely for me, as I've had it for quite a few weeks now. So really enjoying this. I even have a little bit of new leaves coming in, which is something that I would not have expected to happen so soon, so that is rather exciting. Next, we're going to talk about the aroids that I acquired this month, and I think I have some pretty interesting ones to share with you guys, so I am very excited. I have 6 aroids to share with you guys today, and I think they're all really interesting, and I think at least this first one is rather fitting for the time of year, as it is Halloween season, and this is a Philodendron McColley's finale, and this was a gift from one of my growers, and I just thought it was so Halloween-y, so I decided to plant it up in this very Halloween-y planter that I have with me today. So I just thought this one is absolutely adorable. This is a rather new version of the hybrid philodendrons that are on the market, so think like Philodendron Moonlight, Philodendron Imperial Red, Philodendron Rojo Congo. Those are all like the hybrid philodendrons, so this fits along with that category. So this Philodendron McColley's finale does have the capacity to get rather large, so I'm probably going to be potting this up in a matter of a year or so. Getting a little bit more out there with philodendrons, I have this Philodendron ATABAPOENSE, which is a total mouthful, and of course one of my most favorite things about this philodendron is the purple on the back of the leaves. That is absolutely killer. If you follow me on YouTube, then you know that plants that have different colors on the back sides of the leaves are one of my favorites. They're definitely the standouts in terms of plants, and there are not that many philodendrons in cultivation that you're gonna find, at least easily find, that have colors on the back sides of the leaves, so this one is very exciting to me. Of course, I kind of matched it with the red kind of drippy-ish pot, so I'm really enjoying this plant in my collection. I have one more philodendron, but I do have a few more aroids to share with you guys after that. So this is a Philodendron hastatum, silver sword. I don't know. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. If this is the one from the look of the leaves. I don't really know by the name if it's going to get those large leaves or if it's going to stay small, so I would love to hear from you guys because I haven't exactly done the research on that yet, but I can see a new leaf is going to be emerging right here. You can kind of see the joint of it coming out. This was a trade that I did with my friend Ben, so thank you so much, Ben. I'm absolutely loving this Philodendron hastatum. I'm thinking from the look of this plant that I should probably be getting this as sphagnum pole to climb on within the year because it looks like this plant might be getting a little out of hand for me rather quickly. Okay, I have 3 more aeroids to share with you guys today. So this one is a rather interesting one. I think I actually mentioned it in a recent video, but I didn't have it at the time, but now I do. This is a Rhaphidophora hayi, or hayi, I'm not quite sure. This is a shingling form of Rhaphidophora, so of course the Rhaphidophora that we are most familiar with is actually growing on the trellis back there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, the mini monstera, but there's actually a large number of Rhaphidophoras out there for us to collect. This is a plant you're going to see if you're in botanical gardens, just scrambling up the walls and just shingling straight flat to the wall. It is absolutely incredible. There are a number of Rhaphidophoras that do this, so it might not just be Rhaphidophora hayi, but this is one that is known for that characteristic. So I think I best put this one on a sphagnum pole or some kind of board for it to climb up. So you can tell by the way the leaves look that it wants to climb up something and it's going to want to stick to whatever it climbs up. So I still have this one growing in moss, but it's got a really nice root structure going on. So I'm definitely going to need to pot this one up soon before winter approaches. And then I have a plant that was on my wish list for some time, you guys. This is a Scindapsus treubii dark form. I'm so happy to have this plant. The Scindapsus treubii was a trade I did with my friends at the Potted Elephant, and I'm a very big fan of their plants, so I am thrilled to have a plant that was on my wish list for a really long time from people who I really care about. So thank you so much, Corey and John from the Potted Elephant. I am so thrilled about this Scindapsus treubii dark form. I recently got the Scindapsus treubii Moonlight, which is a plant that I'd also been wanting, but I found out about it more recently than the dark form, which I've been wanting for so long, and this plant is so hard to get your hands on. But I believe the Potted Elephant is selling it, so if you guys are looking for it, I do highly recommend checking out their Etsy shop, which I will leave in the description for you guys to check out to see if they do have this plant in stock. But if not, they do have plenty of other plants in stock that I absolutely adore their selection. Definitely worth mentioning them because they're absolutely incredible. And then I do have one more aeroid to share with you guys today. So this is an Anthurium. This is an Anthurium fingers or an Anthurium PEDATO-RADIATUM. This one I purchased is rather young compared to some of the other ones that I saw in the store, but I actually noticed that this one had a few in the pot rather than just one, so I went for the smaller one with a few, expecting it to be, you know, larger in the future. So you can see from the look of these leaves that they get these nice fingers to the leaves. They'll almost get like a nice hand similar to a Thaumatophyllum sprucianum if you're familiar with that plant. It is a little chlorotic. I purchased it like this, but I wasn't exactly concerned because it didn't look necessarily unhealthy. It just looked like maybe it was sitting a little bit too close to the grow light where it was growing. That is it for the aeroids I have to share with you guys this month, but for the first time I have a few ferns to share with you guys. If you've been following me on YouTube for a long time, you have probably heard me say in the past that I am a fern killer and I stay away from ferns, but this year I have been trying again with the ferns and I've actually found some good luck with them. I have always loved staghorn fern, specifically having a mounted staghorn fern in my home, and I think I'm on my 4th one, to be honest, and I've finally learned that they do require a little bit more light than I thought and to be watered a little bit more often. I recently, or at least in the last month, decided to get 2 more ferns in my home, but I actually am displaying them mounted just like my staghorn fern. I've been really enjoying the way that they look. So the first one I have today is this Asplenium NIDUS crispy wave, or a crispy wave fern, which is a type of bird's nest fern. As you can see, I have it mounted on this piece of tree bark right here, and I did a video in the past on how I mount plants, but that was an old method that I have. I kind of have a newer method that I have now, so perhaps I'll do an updated version of that video if you guys are interested. The way I water this is often. First of all, I'm watering this every 3 or 4 days, but I'm just putting it in my sink and I'm just spraying it down with my hose nozzle that I have. Alternatively, you could just fill up like a bowl or a Tupperware of water and place it inside and let it soak up, but I'm not too keen on getting this whole entire piece of wood wet because I do hang it on my wall in my home, so I don't want a sopping piece of wood on the wall, so you could see why. And then I have another type of fern. I think this is a Microsorum or something along those lines. This is a crocodile fern. I really love the look of these leaves. It looks like crocodile skin, which is why it's called a crocodile fern. I forget the exact scientific name of this plant, but I know that its cultivar is Crocodyllus for it being a crocodile fern. So I have this one once again mounted on a piece of wood that I just hang on my wall, and I water it often. Once again, as often as I can. Basically, anytime this sphagnum moss is dry, I am watering this plant. You blame me for wanting to try this out. I think this is just such a killer look for a plant and such a wonderful way to display it. I think this is just such an awesome way to take up wall space in my home, because I need to start taking up wall space and less surface space, as you guys can clearly see. So finally, I'm going to share with you guys my odds and ends plants. I just have a few of them that didn't fit into any other category. Unfortunately, I only got one Peperomia this month, so it doesn't quite fit in a category of its own, but I got this beautiful Peperomia KIMNACHII. Actually, my friend was on a little vacation and she texted me a photo of this and was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, first of all, where are you? Second, like, what's going on and how are you able to find this plant that big? Thank you so much, Linda, my friend, for bringing home this Peperomia KIMNACHII for me. I'm absolutely in love with it. I have a few smaller ones around my home, but I've never in a million years dreamed of having one this large, so I'm absolutely obsessed. I got a really beautiful pot for it. I absolutely love this copper color. I have a lot of these like coppery pots in my home. It's like one of my favorite looks, so I'm loving this. Of course, I had to get one of my favorite pots for one of my new favorite plants, so absolutely loving this. Thanks, Linda, so much once again. I also got this gorgeous Episcia CUPREATA. This is a faded jade Episcia, so the leaves are just more green than the more standard Epicias. I'd say the most common Episcia, pardon me as I grab it, is this Episcia Silver Skies right here, which I think needs a little bit of a drink, but this is probably the most common Episcia you would walk into if you were at a garden center. Epicias are related to African violets, but I find they're a little bit more easier and their foliage looks a lot nicer. So I'm loving Epicias lately. You're definitely going to see me bringing home a lot more of these in the upcoming months because there are so many out there. Every time I get a shipment of Epicias in at the store, there are like 7 varieties in the box, and it's just like so exciting. Every time I order them, I'm wondering which one I'm going to see next that I have to have. And this month, it was this faded jade. I think this one gets red flowers, which will be very nice in contrast to this green and gray foliage. And I do have one more plant to share with you guys today that is still a cutting that I'm rooting. This one was from my friend Mary Ann. This is a Piper ornatum, and if last month I got a Piper parmatum, and now I have a Piper ornatum. So this is a very, very beautiful plant. As you can see, it's got this nice pink foliage that's definitely really shiny and getting lit up by my light a little too well, but it's got this really beautiful pink and green foliage that is just to die for. Mary Ann's plant is absolutely killer. I've had this plant with me for a few weeks now, and I'm just starting to see a little rootlet coming off, so it's definitely not the easiest plant to root. It's been 4 weeks now, and it's definitely looking okay, but we still got a long way to go before my plant's looking anywhere as beautiful as Mary Ann's. Thank you guys so much for watching my video today. If you can't tell, I'm kind of sick. I've definitely been coming off of a sinus infection. I've been a bit under the weather the past few weeks, and now my roommate has the flu, so if I am not to be seen for a week or so, you know what's up. But I also wanted to quickly discuss the idea of me having a set day of the week that I post videos. If you haven't noticed, the past 3 months I've been pretty consistently uploading on Mondays and Thursdays, but I haven't been wanting to announce that because I just can't exactly commit to that. But I think a 1 day a week schedule is very doable, especially since I've been able to keep up with this 2 video a week schedule, but I just think that's a little much. I think that's a lot of videos for you guys to have to watch in a week. I think, especially since my videos are longer, I think I'd rather do 1 video a week and then maybe surprise you guys here and there with another video. So I really like the idea of Monday and Thursday, so I would like to hear from you guys whether you would prefer me to upload weekly on Monday or Thursday, and then here and there I'll throw out a surprise video on the other day. So let me know in the comments, Monday or Thursday, what you would appreciate more, and we will touch back on that in a future video. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching my plant haul video today. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at phillyfoliage, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day!